Shalom Akim Shalom. First thing and foremost, I'm going to give all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashim Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect. Noise in the gospel broad, lifting up the standard of Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, wherever it may be. This is another lesson through the Spirit. It says, Canada's speech police putting citizens in mental war for speaking against their government. There you go. That attack on so-called free speech, because really we don't have free speech because, things are censored. There's certain protocols on saying certain things. And going back to 2020, remember when people were outed or ostracized or penalized for speaking against the PD, the Pandeezy. Remember? Now, notice with the new hantavirus shit, you don't really hear about that no more. I was telling brothers this week, over the weekend, I'm like, hey, y'all don't really hear about that no more because people were not buying it because they remember 2020. So either way it go, they going to come with the smoke and they're going to come with some type of event that's going to get people's attention because, they don't care whether people accept it or not, but they can go back and say, we're going to release the real pestilence on people because, they thought that this was a game and that's going to reshape everybody's thinking. So something down the pipe is coming. But anyway, I want to say Salakia for my last video. If I went off in a rant, so to speak, I was aggravated and, sometimes that zeal do take control. Well, I won't say control, but sometimes the zeal have to just come out and you have to say what you got to say. Trying to do better with it, of course, but at the end of the day, man, the Lord gives us all spirits to do and say what we have to say through the Spirit, as long as it's within the legality of truth. But nonetheless, put curses on that wicked nigga still. But I'm going to play this video, fair use, fair use. We're going to get a couple of precepts, but they're getting ready to remove us, man, off the streets, and they're getting ready to take down our pages, and we're getting ready to be persecuted for the words that we do speak. So, make sure you brothers out there, including myself, we're sowing more into the Spirit and more into the spirit than the flesh, because there will come a time that some of us will have to give an account and put our lives on the line for Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, and you have to be in a spiritual mind in order to do that. So fair use, fair use. Here we go.
So Canada is going full-blown 1984, and I mean the book, not the year, and not the cool, awesome 80s. Canada now has mental health police. Police that can pull you over if you are deemed to be a risk. Now, if you're like, well, what makes you a risk? Who can make you a risk? Well, according to what is happening in this video that I'm about to show you, a psychiatrist recognized a young man, a biophysics major, at a coffee shop, minding his own business. And she decided that he was not well upstairs, and she decided to talk to his family, get more information, and basically put him on a list that would make him eligible to be pulled over when this mental health police comes in. And the cop committed him just by talking to him. And by the way, he sounds sound of mind, he sounds reasonable. And then after committing him, asks him to shut off his camera. This is how dirty Canada is becoming. Just listen to this.
He's a resident psychiatrist, senior resident. He's on a rotation with the CAR 87. We're part of a program that includes Vancouver Coastal Health and the Vancouver Police. Mm-hmm. And what we do is we go to people when there's different reasons that come up. Every case is a little different, and we go to people to see them where they are. Especially if there's been issues with trying to find them and talk to them. So in your case, I think you were certified under the Mental Health Act just, I don't know how long ago, but like maybe 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago. Were you aware of that? Dr. Taylor saw you in a cafe. She didn't certify you. I think you filmed part of it. And then she spoke with your family, got some more information, and you're gonna have to turn that off.
Just one sec. What the officer just told me is that you and I can set up a meeting and we can chat then. So why don't we do that, okay?
Yeah,
I'm not turning the camera off. I have a legal right to keep the camera on. If you don't want to make the appointment now, we can do it at another time. But that's what the officer just asked that we do. So why don't we do that?
So I'm going to certify you under the Mental Health Act. We're going to bring you to a hospital, do testing on you, and you're going to talk to a psychiatrist in a controlled environment because we don't believe that you're going to attend an appointment.
So let me get this straight. This police officer with, I don't know what kind of training he has for mental health, just decided to certify this young man so that he can take him against his will to a mental hospital.
Yeah, that's crazy because for one thing, it takes a licensed practitioner to certify whether you are crazy or not, which crazy is very dismissive, but whether you have something going on upstairs. And really, Esau is not qualified to tell you anything because it's pseudoscience and it's quacks. You know, they have certain parameters that label you certain things based on certain questionnaires and what they access. You know, they may hook you up to what is it called? EEQ, or is it called, not an EGK, that's for the heart. But you got like what they call neural feedback when they hook you up to these machines and they test like brain waves and seeing how cognitively functional you are. They will basically make a determination on how your brain waves and how your activity is. And you can just literally be stressed out for a day. So that's kind of wild, man, that they're putting people in psychiatric centers or whatever you want to call them due to people's opinion of the government, which is the ultimate projection that this devil have shown. Okay, because if you want to, and it's clear, everybody knows that your hand is caught in the cookie jar. Everybody knows that you're conjuring up pestilence. Everybody knows that you're responsible for things that happened during the time of 9/11. Everybody knows you're responsible for this whole Iranian war kickoff. But yet, somehow, some way, when you speak out against this society, because there's a lot of small hats in Canada too, then all of a sudden now you're labeled as a crazy person. So those of us that speaking this truth, they gonna label us out our mind, man. And guess what? Family members, women you've dealt with, you know, co-workers, whatever, that got whiff of what you're about, hey, you got to expect for them to give you up in that day. You know, I was speaking to my sister and my brother over the weekend, and it was wild because I was speaking to them and they just seemed so receptive to certain things. I'm not saying the truth, but they had like this more accepting energy now. And the spirit told me, he said, yeah, because they know you were right. You know, now my brother, he wants to hang out. He wants to link up with me. Bro, I ain't seen you in years, man. Now you want to come and hang out with me? Why? Why you want to hang out with me now, bro? Which I'm not against seeing my brother, you know, just to see how he's doing because it will be good to see him. But at the same time, it's like, nigga, you know, you was one of the main ones that came up against me years ago when I first come up in the truth, man. So what, you see the truth now? Let's get a precept real quick. It's the Isaiah. It's Isaiah 29 to 31, I think. 31, 29, 29, 31, 29, 21. Yep, this is the book of Isaiah 29 and 21. It says, the terrible one is brought to naught, and the scorner is consumed, and all that watch for iniquity are cut off. Because this devil is going to get cut off because, you know, he's doing wickedness in the earth. Experimental, you know, genome experiments. He's trying to clone humans, all types of stuff that this devil got his hand in. Splitting atoms, trying to go to different dimensions and all types of stuff, man. This pseudoscience is all wickedness. That make a man an offender for a word and lay a snare for him that reproveth in the gate, that turn aside the just thing for a thing of naught. So, yeah, people are going to make us offenders for words because we're bringing out the truth. Prime example, last video I did was rebuking this character that come on my comment board in his emotions, and he basically made us an offender for speaking the words of the Heavenly Father because he couldn't get with it. His emotions didn't allow him to accept it. Now we had to be the one that was breaking down the Bible the wrong way because he couldn't understand it. But yet he has no breakdowns of a goddamn thing. That really aggravates my spirit. And people have the audacity to teach us something, but yet they're not teaching themselves. That's one of the biggest pet peeves that a man can have, man. Just like, come on, bro. If you were an adequate teacher, or if you were an approved teacher and the Lord gave you the approval to teach, then why aren't you doing so? Man.
to be seen by another psychiatrist to have a full evaluation. But before that evaluation, he already certified him. So, welcome to 1984, and people are like, why are you afraid of Canada? Yeah, it's not tyrannical at all, right, you guys?
So what happens when a genius starts pushing back against the system? A young man in BC was detained and forced into a psych ward after spreading awareness about state overreach in Canada.
And this is Dr. Emery. He's a resident psychiatrist,
Yeah.
senior resident. So I'm going to certify you under the Mental Health Act. We're going to bring you to hospital, do testing on you, and you're going to talk to a psychiatrist in a controlled environment because we don't believe that you're going to attend an appointment.
I've never been given a chance to attend an appointment.
His name was Nicholas Wagter, and he was detained by police officers after they claimed he was certified by Dr. Christine Taylor, who for some reason had all of her online profiles completely wiped. She apparently evaluated him at a coffee shop where he was holding a meet and greet to connect with people when she and her associates ambushed him and didn't even talk to him for 2 seconds before he stormed out.
I'm a physician.
Okay, so I'm going to
And
leave.
one of the things we
Because
wanna
what I'm
do
going to tell you
is
is
assist
that
you.
what you're doing right now is illegal.
How is it illegal?
What is it? It's an ambush is what you're doing.
It's a mental health assessment, and we need to know what's going on with you.
Yeah?
The weird part is he circled back to the cafe and found that everyone in the cafe seemed to be undercover. One person had a gun, the others had wires and walkie-talkies like they were setting up a sting operation. They're claiming that in that 2-second interaction, the psychiatrist had enough evidence to certify him. Well, I looked into BC's policy for
Man, these devils, man, these devils are something else. They coming. They trying to get this. They're trying to push this new world order. Scriptures goes into adversary, the devil, seeking whom he may devour. So, hey, brothers, man, we got to move very wise in these days, bro, for real, because you just never know who you're talking to. You know, people size you up. People ask you certain questions. You got to be careful with people that's asking you certain questions because they're trying to get a understanding. Or they're trying to get a read on you, man. So don't be talking to everybody because they seem friendly. People have nefarious purposes out here. Remember, we're behind enemy lines, man. People on a need-to-know basis. Don't be sitting up here telling everybody everything, man. It's people that personally, I don't tell shit. It ain't none of their business. 1 Peter 5:8. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour. Okay? So be careful, bro. They try to set this dude up because he was speaking of government outreach, and they are outreaching. They are overreaching. They were showing that in certain places in America. People will post Facebook, post it. This is why you brothers' social media activity, too, you have to limit that. You know, I get it. You know, brothers want to spread awareness and all that stuff. But at the same time, how much awareness are you going to spread to a bunch of followers that just don't want to get it? Our main shopping platform is the YouTube, man. You put all your information on there. Because a while ago, the apostles gave an order stating that should no brother be on social media, or at least pushing truth content. So, hey, social media is supposed to be for what it is, social media. You know, should be really pushing the truth on it. But, you know, I get it. Every brother got the different lot. So it is what it is, because there's no sin saying that you can't put the truth on Instagram, or no scripture say you can't do it. But for order's sake, you know, brothers, they're going to do what they do. You know, because, I mean, we do get information from it as well, and we utilize it. But at the same time, you know, use other avenues and be very circumspect.
Voluntary admission, and they have 4 conditions before they can admit anyone, and literally only one condition was met. The person is deemed by a doctor not suitable as a voluntary patient. So the state actually gave doctors the power to admit anyone they deem unwell into a psychiatric ward without their consent. See, here's the kicker.
And then they're going to be shooting you up with all types of injections and putting you on all type of, you know, medications and all that stuff, and you just gonna be in that bad boy losing your mind, man.
This all happened after Nicholas had been going around to a bunch of MPs' offices telling them that the government has been passing authoritarian clauses into law, which we all know, that could destroy our sovereignty. This is the document he gave them. It's called China Vancouver Attempt, where he says China and the corrupt Canadian government are trying to turn Vancouver into a Chinese dictatorship police state. In the document, he lists authoritarian bills like C8, C9, C15, and C21. He also says Carney is colluding with China to sell Vancouver to them by First Nations bands and DRIPA. This is not a crazy person. He graduated from Western University in biophysics. In 2025, he actually wrote a paper on the unified theory of gravity, aka quantum gravity, the combination of Einstein.
So he was a target because, he was a high-profile target because, he brought out some Bible information. Like the scribes and Pharisees and the wicked high priest, they said, you filled Jerusalem with this man's doctrine, with your doctrine. You see, and that often caused the authorities to get involved because, see, you had men that sold out Yahushua because basically they was afraid of the Romans coming to take their place, which is a wicked move because you're supposed to put your faith and trust in the Heavenly Father, man. All right. Verses 9, whom resist steadfast in the faith, knowing the same afflictions are accomplished in your brethren and that are in the world. Okay. It says, all that live godly in Hamashiach Yahushua shall suffer persecution, man. Romans 8 and 1, it says, there is therefore now no condemnation to them which are in Yahushua HaMashiach, who walk not after the flesh, but after the spirit. Okay. So there's no they can't condemn us. They're the ones that's doing wicked, but nonetheless, because we're not of the world, we will receive the persecution of, like my man Murph said, he said, I will rather stand with Yahweh Shai and be judged by the world before I stand with the world and be judged by Yahweh Shai. And that's a beautiful mindset to have. I would rather be judged by this wicked ass world before I be judged by Yahweh Shai. And brothers got to come to terms with, you're going to lose people. You're going to lose people that believed in you. You're going to lose people that loved you. People that you was very impressionable upon when they start to reveal what we're about. They're going to make it sound real skittish and slumpy, but hey, we just got to stay grounded. Okay? Suffer persecution. Those that live godly in Yahweh Shai. 2 Timothy 3 and 12. Let's start at verses 8. It says, now when Jannes and Jambres withstood Moses, so do these also resist the truth. Men corrupt minds reprobate concerning the faith. Yeah, reprobate means to be void of judgment. It says, but they shall proceed no further, for their folly should be made manifest unto all men, as theirs also was. But thou hast fully known my doctrine, manner of life, purpose, faith, long-suffering, charity, patience, persecutions, afflictions, which came unto me at Antioch and Iconium and Lystra, and persecutions I have endured, but out of all of them the Lord delivered me. So we got to have that mindset of being delivered. And it says, and yea, and all that will live godly in Yahweh HaMashiach shall suffer persecution. Okay? So that's the point I wanted to make. But evil men and seducers shall wax worse and worse, deceiving and being deceived. So as we come to the close of this system, you're going to have more wicked men. You're going to have more skittish individuals. You're going to have more Israelites defected from the faith, more perverse doctrines, man. Okay? And some of these dudes, these other groups, hey, they're going to be willing to give you over to the authorities, man. Because, hey, I believe a lot of these dudes in other camps, they're helping Esau build the case, build the dossier, man. A lot of men don't have integrity. This is why you got to be careful in this thing. Let's go from here to the book of Matthew's 16. No, is it Matthew's 10 and 16? And it says, behold, I send you forth of sheep in the midst of wolves. So be ye therefore wise as serpents, harmless as doves. Yeah, be circumspect. Walking around with your fringes is probably not the best look to have in this day and age, because they're looking to grab people up, especially if you ain't really rooted. So you got guys that walk around with fringes and they're not really rooted. They just do it because it's a fashion statement. But see, you wear them fringes, they're supposed to mean something. In a FEMA camp, Esau ain't going to let you have your fringes on. Then what? Well, you going to the guillotine, he don't let you have your fringes on. He going to put you in that prison clothing, that orange jumpsuit, and label you a DT, which Trump is cracking down on that, by the way. It says, but beware of men, for they will deliver you up to the councils, and they will scourge you in their synagogues. But ye should be brought before governors and kings for my sake, for a testimony against them and the Gentiles. And when they deliver you up, take no thought how or what ye should speak. For it should be given you in the same hour what ye shall speak. It says, for it is not ye that speak, but the Spirit of your Father which speaketh in you. And the brother shall deliver a brother to death, and the father the child, and the children shall rise up against their parents, and cause them to be put to death. And ye shall be hated of all men for my name's sake. Yet all men for my name's sake, but he that endureth to the end shall be saved. Okay, so it's about endurance, because we are going to go through some tough and dark times in this faith, and we all going to be tried, bro. It's coming. You know, it's easier said than done now, because ain't nothing going down, but you know, some brothers gonna have their doors kicked in, bro. Some brothers gonna get grabbed up at work. You know, some brothers gonna get picked up in traffic. You know, it's different. And some brothers might not have to go through this all together, but you know, for who is written, those of us that may have to go through certain things, we all gonna be tried one way or another. Revelation 2:10. Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. For behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life. Okay, so we in them times, brothers. But with that, all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Lord's will, you are edified. To the next lesson. Shalom.
Einstein's general relativity with quantum mechanics. It got over 900 downloads. Canada is creating their own thought police. Doctors can deem you mentally unwell and force you into a mental institution against your will with no evidence. The people who are calling out the corruption are being targeted, called crazy, and put into mental institutions.